We are Malachim Beis, Perek Chafei, Pasuk Aleph. Okay, this is the last Perek of Malachim Beis. Today we're going to have Asar B'Teves, Shavas Tammuz, Tisha B'Av, and some Gedaliah. Get ready. Vehi B'Shnas HaTishri. It was the 9th year, the Malachim of the Malachim of Tzidkiyahu. V'Chodesh HaSiri B'Asar L'Chodesh. It was the 10th month, the 10th of the month. What happened? This is Asar B'Teves. What happened? Bon Nevuchadnezzar Melech Bavel. He comes to Yerushalayim. He camps near Yerushalayim. And what happened? Yivnu Allah Dayak Saviv. Yes, this is a Asar B'Teves. The Nevuchadnezzar comes and he makes a siege around Yerushalayim. He camps nearby and he makes a siege. What happens? The city became under siege until the 11th year. So it happened in the middle of the 9th year until 11th. It's about a year and a half siege over Yerushalayim. Okay. Now, the interesting part is, let's see. And now, okay, so that's a siege. Now, Tisha L'Chodesh. Now, the 9th of one month, Chazal said, the Gemara says it's the 4th month. So now on the 9th of Tammuz, what happens on the 9th of Tammuz? It says the famine was very, very strong. The siege was very strong in the city. There was no food left. Everyone was starving. And then the city got breached. Because the city got breached. So the pasuk says in pasuk Dalet clearly that it wasn't Shavas Tammuz. It was the 9th of Tammuz. Okay? It says clearly it was the 9th of Tammuz. So we say it's Shavas Tammuz. So what happened Shavas Tammuz? So the Yerushalayim says either Pshat is Beis Rishon might have been in the 9th of Tammuz. Beis Sheni maybe Shavas Tammuz. Okay, that's one chiluk. Or some say Pshat wasn't really Shavas Tammuz. So why I said 9th Tammuz? What happened was people in the city with such confusion and hunger, they didn't know what's going on. They thought it was the 9th. And the pasuk is saying how they felt. They felt it was the 9th. That's what they thought. But really it was Shavas Tammuz. Okay, the two Pshatim in the Yerushalayim, you can look it up. Okay. Right. So now we had Asar B'Teves with the siege, and now we had the breach of the city was Shavas Tammuz, or the 9th of Tammuz. And what happened? The people in the city, what happened was, when the soldiers got breached, they had a special tunnel prepared under the Melech's palace, and the tunnel went all the way down to Yericho. That's what Rashi learns. And Hashem wanted, and so the king and all the officers, they went through the tunnel and they went to run away. Hashem wanted them to get caught. So Hashem made a deer in Yericho. A deer comes out and showed the entrance to the tunnel. So then they got caught. So let's see the pasuk. Kazdim refers to the Nevuchadnezzar's army. They were surrounding the city, and they went the way the Rava. So they caught him now that this deer came and showed the entrance. The army of Kazdim, they ran after the Melech. And they overtook him. They caught him near Yericho by the exit of the tunnel. And Tzidkiyahu's army all ran away because they ran for their lives. But Tzidkiyahu was caught, and what happened? They take Tzidkiyahu, they seized him. They brought him to the king of Bavel in the area of Rivlasa. Okay, so I said before that what happened was he was this guy, but now Tzidkiyahu rebelled. Why did he rebel? Because what happened was Nevuchadnezzar had a secret. What was the secret? The secret was that one day he went out and ate a live rabbit, and he was embarrassed about it. He told don't repeat this. And if you repeat it, you're going to be in trouble. And that's why his name was Tzidkiyahu. We said before, is that Hashem would justify punishment if you rebel against me. And he went ahead and he told, and that's what it says, he rebelled and he told the secret. He went and he told the secret about Nevuchadnezzar eating this live rabbit. He was embarrassed about it. So now he brought him to Rivla in Bavel, and now he wanted to do judgment on him. What does he do? So now Nevuchadnezzar wanted to punish him. He does it in pasuk Zayin. As Bnei Tzidkiyahu shachtu, he went ahead and he killed his children. He killed all his children laying in front of him. And then he made him blind. He punched out his eyes. And he brought him to chains and he went to Bavel. So again, he takes Tzidkiyahu, he kills all his children in front of him, and then he blinds him. So it should be his last memory that he remembers. Is only thing on his mind. It should be his kids getting killed in front of him, and that's the punishment that Nebuchadnezzar did for going and repeating over rebelling against Nebuchadnezzar. Okay, and then after he does it, he brings him in chains and he drags him to Bavel. Okay. Pasuk Ches. So now in the 5th month, the month of Av, on the 7th of the month, okay, not Tisha B'Av, on the 7th of the month, it was the 19th year, Nevuchadnezzar Bavel, Nevuchadnezzar, Raftabachim, Nevuchadnezzar, the chief executioner, he comes, Eved Melech Bavel, he was the Eved Melech, he was the Eved, he worked for Nevuchadnezzar, and what he does is, this is the 7th of Av, okay, and then, okay, so he comes on the 7th, and he goes into Yerushalayim, and he's partying around the Beit HaMikdash, and he's having a whole feast. And then, finally, it doesn't say the puzzle, but the Chazal say it was Tisha B'Av, and then Yisa Beis Hashem, he burns the Beis HaMikdash, there's Beis HaMelech, it's called Beit Yerushalayim. He sets the whole city on fire. It's called Beis HaGadol, Starvation. So, entire Beis HaMikdash, Rashi says it was all the shuls, and all the places where we call all the yeshivas, all the places in the Torah, the whole city gets burnt down, and this is mamash the Churban. So it starts on the 7th, and it goes on fire on Tisha B'Av, and it burns the whole night of Tisha B'Av. Okay, so Malachim starts with what? Bringing Beis HaMikdash, and now at that last paragraph, at the end of Malachim, is you have Churban Beis HaMikdash. As Chaimis Yerushalayim Sovim and the walls around Nitzasu Kol Chaya Kazim, they destroy the walls, the army of Kazim, the army of Nevuchadnezzar. Hashem Rav Tabachim, which was through Nevuchadnezzar, the chief executioner. Fine, Pasuk Aleph. Now we're going to have the second Galus. So before we had the Galus of Yechanya, now we're going to have the second Galus of Nevuchadnezzar now into Bavel. Because the red people that were left over in the Sham Be'er, all the people that were left over that weren't killed, and they fallen, Ashanafu Melch Bavel. Rashi learns that means that the Nebuchadnezzar told the people, if you leave the city and you go to Tzidkiyahu, I don't remember where that is, that's in Gaza, that's where David Melch ran away to. He said, you go there, you'll be saved. So now he takes those people, and they follow Ashanafu Melch Bavel, as yes, Amen, the rest of the people, Higla, Nevizradan, Ratawachim. So now Nevizradan, under the offices of the Nebuchadnezzar, he goes ahead and he brings the rest of the people to Galus. Now, but Medalas, the poor people, the poorest people, Hisher Rav Tabachim, he left them over. He left them in the land, the Krumim, le Yogivim, to be the farmers and the vineyard. He didn't want Yerushalayim to totally go in disarray because then it'll have zero value. He did destroy Yerushalayim, but he wanted someone, the poorest people, to just keep the land in check a little bit. Fine. But the rest of the people, he goes ahead and he says it into Galus. Now, now this is going to say things that were in the Beit HaMikdash and what he did to them. So if you want to know where the Kalim went and what happened, we get a little inkling over here. The famous pillars. Which pillars? Who knows? The Yachin Avayas. The Hashem Melch made. Hashem Beis Hashem. There's a Mechaynes Hayam. Mechaynes we know was the washing stations, and the Yam Shel Shloima. Hashem Beis Hashem. That's Shibruk HaKazim. It was shattered. So if anybody tells you they found it in Rome, that's not true. The Pasuk says clearly it was just smashed, and then we used to at the Churban Bavel, and then they carried it to Bavel. But if you say it's in one piece, for sure not true. He says the Pasuk says clearly the Mechaynes, the Yam Shel Shloima, and the Yachin Avayas was smashed and shattered, and was carried off to Bavel. Presumably they wanted they did it because it had a lot of value. It was a tremendous amount of copper. Yes. The pots and the shovels and the mamrois and the musical instruments, as a kappa, the spoons and the copper vessel, they took all the water, they took it away. It doesn't say they brought it to Bavel, but presumably they brought it to Bavel as well. Yeah, you can ask your gold, I'll let you know where it is. Maybe next year Tishma we'll be able to find it. The meantime, it's Gavaita, Vesa Machtois, Vesa Mizrakos, and the fire pans and the bowl, whatever was pure gold, whatever was silver. He took those as well. So pretty much he took everything. Now, Hamudim Shtayim Hayom Echad. Now Hamudim Shtayim, the two pillars he took. V'Yam Echad, the one sea, which means Yam Shel Shloima. Mechaynis was the washing station. Asher also Shloima the Beis Hashem. And that Loya Mishkol Mechaynis Kol HaKemel. This was so we had earlier in the Sukkim. It said there was so much copper that was in the Yachin Avayah. There was a tremendous amount. There was a tremendous amount of weight for the Yam Shel Shloima, the Mechaynis. There was no weight. I mean, it was too much. It was such a high amount, and they brought it all to Bavel. Now, how big was it? Now the passage just to go through how big the Yachin Avayah was, even though we had earlier, just saying Shemay Nasher Amar was 18 amos high. One pillar was 18 amos high. The Karis Allah Chayshas, and there was a crown on top of it, and a copper. The Kaima Karis Shloisha Amos, and the height of how big was the crown? Was 8 amos? It was 5 amos. It was 3 amos rather. Pasuk says. But I think the pasuk earlier says 5, and the reason is because I think it went in 2. It was 18, and it was 5 because 2 went in to hold up above the pillar. It went in. Anyways, Samacha reminded me it had beautiful designs of like pomegranates. It was that's Exile and a crown around it. It was Kol HaNachoshes. Was copper. Ke'elo Lamba Sheni. The same thing was for the second pillar, the second Yachanavayas, Ala Svacha on the netting as well. It was the passage just trying to say that there was a lot of copper and it was beautiful design and it was smashed and it was taken to Bavel with the Mizradan through Nevuchadnezzar. But Vayikach, because I think presumably the value was in the copper, and therefore since it's in the copper, he took it in for the money. And also he smashed it for Bezayah. Now, the next passage is very interesting. So now the Mizradan takes Shroya Koyin Rosh. He takes Shroya Koyin and Tzefanya Koyin Mishnah. Okay, Tzefanya he was the Sgan Koyin, and Shlosh Hashem 3 gatekeepers. Okay, so now in the second Golus, he takes certain people, and you'll see why he stresses it in a minute. I have a shot on it. From the city, he takes one officer, who pocket the person that was, I guess, the guy in charge of the war, the war operator. And then there was like 5 advisors he took. It's a Sefer, and he takes these people, Hamatzbi as Amoritz, and Shishim Ish Ma'amoritz, and Nimsabir. He takes all these people. He ended up, it comes up to 72 people. And what? And he takes them, and you'll see in a second that the Mizraim takes and he kills them. Now, who are these 72 people? So the Yerushalmi Sanhedrin says it's 60 plus another 12. He ended up at 72. And he said this was a reference to Sanhedrin of Gedaliah. Why Sanhedrin of Gedaliah? So he said, why did he go and kill Chizkiyahu? Why? Because he told a secret. But who gave permission? So the Gemara said Sanhedrin. What happened was Chizkiyahu went to Sanhedrin and said, I need a Pesach for that. I mean, I told him, I'm not going to tell over Tzidkiyahu. Sorry, Tzidkiyahu. What happened was Tzidkiyahu had the secret of the rabbit, and he repeated it because Sanhedrin told him he gave him Pesach to repeat it. And Nebuchadnezzar said, "How do you have the right? How do you have the right to give a Pesach?" But he was upset at Tzidkiyahu. So now, because of that, he was upset at Sanhedrin too. So he got rid of. So these 72 people was a reference to Sanhedrin Gedaliah, and he went ahead and I'll see in a second. He killed them all. He killed them because, as a punishment for being matan neder on the secret of Tzidkiyahu of Nebuchadnezzar. Okay. So that's what it says. He took them. He took the Bavel, and then the king of Bavel hit them. And he went and he killed them all. The Eretz Hamas, and he killed them in the land of Hamas, the land of anger. Yehuda, so that's the end of Golus. At this point, we had the Hatzah Shvatim all in Golus. Yehuda in Golus, there's no one left. Israel is empty, just a few stragglers hanging around, maybe taking care of the land, and that's it. Now, there were a few people left, and that's now. So now we had Tammuz, we had Tammuz, we had Tisha B'Av, and now we have some Gedaliah. Well, what's some Gedaliah? Pasuk Beis. There were a few people that literally a couple people, maybe these are stragglers. They left over a couple people. And that's Gedaliah ben Achika ben Shaphan. He took there's a yid named Gedaliah, okay, and he told him you'll keep being in charge of these few people that are left over. Okay, he made him the leader. Now, all the officers they heard they heard that Nebuchadnezzar told Gedaliah, you can be in charge of whoever's left over, because Nebuchadnezzar held that you need to always have a leader, someone. So he said, maybe he felt bad. I don't know whatever the reason was. He put this yid Gedaliah in charge, whoever's left over. So now, what happened? Gedaliah went to this area of the mitzvah, and he brought a few people. He brought Yishmael ben Asanya, Yehoyachin ben Karach, Sharia ben Tenechumes Hanafasi, Yazarana ben Hamakasi. Hey, man, Hashem. He took all these people and they met in the mitzvah. And now they were scared. They were scared that maybe Nebuchadnezzar says, go ahead and maybe he'll kill them, because these people were in hiding. So by Yizba Lahem Gedaliah, right? He made a shul, he swore that Nashim, and he told them, don't be afraid of Nebuchadnezzar's people. Why? Shu Ba'eretz Ivdu as a Melech Bavel. You could come back to Yerushalayim area and Yehuda area, and no problem, and you're fine as long as you makabel the Golus. So as long as you makabel Nebuchadnezzar and you accept him, and it'll be good for you. Okay, so what happened? These people went ahead and Gedaliah was their leader, and they came out of hiding and they started a little bit living in the area of Eretz Yisrael, of Yerushalayim, Yehuda maybe. Anyway, what happens? On the 7th month, at the 7th of Tishrei, while Yishmael ben Isaiah, what happened was, that's what I'll give you background. What happened was, the people warned Gedaliah. They said that Yishmael wants to kill you, and he was warned, and he said, "No, it's Lashon Hara, Ma'am Kabbalah Lashon Hara, can't be." And I said, well, what happens? Now, why do you want to kill him? Because this guy Yishmael held that he's Mizar Malucha, and therefore he should be the king. So right now you have Gedaliah the king over a few people, and then once again there's a fight. What's the fight? Yishmael says, I want to be the king. So B'chol Yashvi, Paul Yishmael, and Tayo ben Alishama, Mizar Malucha. Exactly. And he took his 10 people by Yericho. It's Gedaliah. He goes ahead and Chazal say it was on Rosh Hashanah. He went ahead and he kills Gedaliah. That's a Yehuda. That's a Kazdim. Asher Hayita b'mitzvah. Because we say it was in the mitzvah. All the people that were with him, he killed. It wasn't just Gedaliah. He killed a few people, a bunch of people that were in the mitzvah. And so now Yishmael goes ahead and kills Gedaliah. Okay. So now, it's a new low, because not only there's no such weapon, not only Yehuda is empty, now the few people are also killed. There's nothing left. That's why it's unbelievable. There's nothing left. What happens? Anyone who's left over, like literally a few people left. They were afraid now. Who knows what's going to happen? What's the people going to do with the few people? There's no leader anymore. So they ran to Mitzrayim, and now Israel is empty. Huh? We went also. I mean, everyone ran away. It says all the people. Everyone that was left over. They went to Mitzrayim. They're afraid of Kazim. They said that that's it. We're in trouble. We're almost done. Now was on the 30th. Now on the 37th year, the Golus Yachin. It's 37th year since Yehoyachin went to the Golus. Mishnei Mesich Chodesh was the 12th month. Be'esrim Meshiva Chodesh. The 27th day of the month. What happened? Nasa Avil Mardach Melech Bavel. So now Nevuchadnezzar dies, and now Avil Mardach, he becomes the new Melech. So now that he became the new Melech, he went ahead and he frees Yehoyachin. Okay. B'shnas Mocha Rosh Yehoyachin Yehuda Beis Kelly. He takes him and he says, okay, now that my father died, he released him from prison. Just interesting. If you have a minute, I'll tell you the Gemara. The Gemara says that at this point, Yehoyachin did tshuva already, and what happened was they wanted that there should be a continuation from Malachim Beis David. So they said while he was in prison, they said that they should lower his wife into the prison so he could be with his wife, and then there can be a continuation to Malachim Yehuda, to Malachim Beis David. And what happens? What happens is they lower her in, and she says, "I'm sorry, I'm a nida." So it's a tremendous thing because I'll talk about it. And what happened was, it took her out, they brought her back in again. Lamaisa, he ended up becoming a big personality. He's the one who continued the Malachim Beis David. So now that just in this is a quick Rashi over here. It says over here that it was on the 25th, right? It says it was on the 27th, but the Rashi brings down a Yomi that says it was on the 25th. So what day did it happen? So Rashi says, on the 25th day, Nevuchadnezzar dies. And they buried him on the 26th day. But on the 27th day, the new king, he takes Nevuchadnezzar out of his grave, and he wanted to make sure he was really dead. What happened? Because early in the story, what happened was, Nevuchadnezzar, one day he went off the rails, and he goes and he's living with animals, and he kind of whatever happened. We'll see maybe in Daniel. And what happened was, so since Nebuchadnezzar wasn't the Melech, so now Avil Mardach, he became the new king, right? Because Nebuchadnezzar was gone, so he became the new king. The son, he became the new king, and then all of a sudden, one day Nebuchadnezzar shows up, and he takes his son. He's like, "What are you doing here? I'm the Melech." He puts him in chains, and he puts him in jail. So now that he dies, he's scared. He has such trauma. He's afraid maybe he didn't really die. So he dies on the 25th. On the 26th, they bury him. And then before he became the king, he says, let me make sure he's dead. He takes him out of his grave, and he just shakes him around, make sure he's dead. And now they confirm he's really dead. That's when this all happens. And now once he became the king, so Yehoyachin gets freed. And he goes ahead, and he does good things. And he takes Yechanya and he puts him on he puts him on the royal throne. Bavel. Okay, he's together with him. In other words, he wanted good for him. Vashina, the big Kaloi, he changed the prison clothing. He put some real royal clothing. Lechem Tamid Lefanam, and he ate Koli Mechayev. The rest of his life in Yechanya, he ate in the palace. We ate with the king, and he had the royal begadim. Aruchasai, Aruchas Tamid, and he gave him breakfast and lunch. Whatever, he took care of him. But Nasalai Beis HaMelach, it was all given from the kings by Yom every day. Koli Mechayev. The rest of his life in Yechanya, it was good times, and that's a continuation of Malachim David, because like we said that the Malachim David should never disappear. And that was the promise that Hashem told. That was the promise that there will always be a continuation of Malachim David, and through the Chanya it all continues. And now that's the end. Chazak, now we're finishing.